Give me my Maybach, bro.
Last Friday at T Stadium in Texas, fans packed the house expecting a big night on paper. The main event was supposed to be an unforgettable boxing legend versus the YouTuber turned fighter. Instead, it turned into a huge letdown.
Now, what did you think of the fight?
It wasn't a good one.
It wasn't a good one. No.
Barely any punches were thrown, and by the time it was over, the crowd was loudly showing their frustration. But it turns out this was not all that was going down. The event had fans throwing punches in the stadium, others walking away, and even Tank and Kesson almost getting into a brawl.
I would prefer Tank Davis, the top guy. I would go for the top guy. If I could choose, I would choose Tank Davis. I would not Tank short it out.
After social media exploded with complaints, fans and boxing pros called the fight a disgrace. But no one was louder than Tank. Tank didn't hold back. He blasted Jake Paul in a fiery Instagram post to the dumb clown who shared the ring with Mike. Tank wrote, "You're stupid for this and couldn't even do the job. _ head."
Gervonta Davis just posted that he would beat the brakes off of you if you guys fight.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be down.
But the night wasn't just about Tank's beef with Jake. It's when things almost got physical between Tank and rising star Kesson Davis. The young fighter boldly taunted Tank during the event, calling him a fraud and daring him to fight.
Davis Keyshawn, this new guy, he's 140 pounds. He's not bad.
Yeah.
Keyshawn Davis. That's him right there, isn't it?
Ooh, no, I thought he was.
Ooh, there you go right here.
Tank, already steaming from the lackluster main event, nearly snapped. Security had to step in before it turned into a full-blown brawl. Kesson Davis is one of boxing's hottest young stars right now, and we can't deny that. Just a few weeks ago, he lit up his hometown crowd with a stunning second-round knockout over Gustavo L.
Hey, Shakur, like I was telling Bud, it's either you or Keyshion's gonna get tanked, so the walls are closing in, so awesome.
It's gonna be him though.
It makes sense. He's closer.
Big brother first.
The win sent Kesson soaring, saying he's ready for the big names like Teofimo Lopez, Haney, and of course at the top of the list, Tank. Kesson is young, talented, and exciting to watch, and he knows it. Now, in boxing, it's normal for rising stars to call out big names. It's part of the game. You don't get noticed by staying quiet. But the way Kesson has been calling Tank out, it wasn't just confidence. It felt like he was poking the bear. Here's the thing about Tank that even Kesson should know: he's not just another fighter. Tank has been a famous knockout artist, but he's also a thinker in the ring. He's like a chess master, always a few steps ahead of his opponent. He spends the early rounds studying his rivals, figuring out their patterns, and waiting for the perfect moment to strike. When Tank lands, it lights out.
No, I feel like Tank is the type of fighter where he's he'll either be offensive first, but he's very, 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 very patient, and then just try to catch you slipping. You know what I'm saying? And certain fighters,
his punches aren't just strong, they're devastating, and he can deliver them from angles that opponents don't see coming. Once Tank has you hurt, it's almost impossible to survive. We've seen it time and time again. Fighters like Ryan Garcia, Leo Santa Cruz, and Jose Praza all had their moments against Tank, but once he turned it up, it was game over.
who sleep on Tank skills? Nah, no, nobody sleep on Tank. Like,
well, I just go because so many people just think he's a knockout artist, but I think they underestimate his boxing IQ.
And back in 2021, in August, I sparred Tank, and he's skilled. Like, he's skillfully. Like, he's like, you can watch me fight. You know, I'm skilled. When I got in the ring with him,
Kesson Davis is good. No one doubts that. But is he ready for Tank? That's the question. Apparently, Kesson is already attracting 10,000 people this early in his career. And from what his fans have seen, they know for sure that Kesson can take down Tank, and his last fight only further fueled that.
He's going to be a great fighter.
He's calling for Tank. Now,
he beats Tank.
Yeah, you think so?
Keyshawn Davis beats Tank, in my opinion. I believe he's given him a good ass.
Gustavo Lemos was a tough opponent, but he's not on Tank's level. Lemos brought pressure, but it was predictable. Tank's pressure is smarter and far more dangerous. When we think of this fight, we can almost see how it goes. Kesson steps into the ring with Tank. The first few rounds are close.
The world title definitely gonna be next. 2025, we got big plans for everybody in the boxing world. Hey, Gervonta, knock knock.
You've been on that all week. Listen.
Kesson lands some good shots and feels confident, but by round 7, everything changes. Tank, having studied Kesson, starts to take over. His punches become sharper, his attacks more relentless. Kesson, who's never faced power like Tank, starts to hesitate. Every opening he sees feels like a trap. The pressure builds, the crowd gets louder, and suddenly Keyshawn realizes he's in over his head.
When I started, when I was attacking and trying to set stuff up, he got good upper body movement and he got some good legs when he used them. So he surprised me with his defense. But it was a very technical fight. Technical sparring match. And I definitely learned that, like I said, his defense, I definitely learned that he got some great defense. And it's not really easy to hit this guy. And I had to work to get to him. But overall, it was great sparring and we respected each other.
And to be honest, this is not just hypothetical. It's what many of Tank's opponents have experienced. They go in confident, they even land a fair share of punches, but once Tank gets going, it's a whole different fight. This is what everyone who knows Tank is communicating to Keyshawn. Kenny Ellis, Tank's coach, has even called Keyshawn greedy. Not just him, even Eddie Hearn told Keyshawn to respect the levels in boxing.
You are good. You are real good. But there's levels to this game, Keyshia.
Okay, we gonna talk about levels. Okay, just know it's level.
Keyshawn isn't backing down. Whether it's youthful confidence or just a way to grab attention, he's determined to keep his name in the mix. And while that boldness is admirable, it might also be his downfall. Boxing is as much about strategy as it is about skill. Confidence is crucial, but so is respect for the sport, for the craft, and for those who have already climbed the mountain. Tank Davis has proven himself time and time again. Underestimating him is a mistake many fighters have paid for. Keyshawn has the talent and the charisma to become a superstar, but he needs to be smart. Rushing into a fight with Tank could either make him a legend or end his rise before it truly begins. Tank, on the other hand, isn't one to shy away from a challenge. If Keyshawn keeps pushing, the fight could happen. But when it does, all the talk will mean nothing in the ring. There's no hiding. But for now, it's clear that Keyshawn might be playing with fire he can't handle, and fire burns. Whether he rises from it or gets consumed, only time will tell. However, as much as people are going off against Keyshawn for calling Tank out, some of his accusations have been, well, a bit true, according to the fans.
Hey, for that other southpaw on the other side of the street, this is an example for you. But I probably can do you a little earlier than that. You and Earl keep saying this, that, and third. I want to fight, but y'all calling out other fighters. Why is that? I want to fight you. I want to fight you. You feel me? If you want to fight, let me know, because I want to fight.
Sure, Gervonta Davis might be undefeated with a sparkling record of 3-0-0, but his resume has always been a lightning rod for criticism. As Tank celebrated his 30th birthday just recently, social media was full of another talk. Not with congratulations, but with frustration. Fans and critics are questioning his career choices, calling his legacy underwhelming despite his undeniable talent. One comment summed up the idea, saying all that talent, world champion at 22, and by 30, still hasn't fought an elite guy, what a waste. Others chimed in, accusing him of cherry-picking opponents and dodging real challenges. The term rehydration clauses came up repeatedly, a point for many fans who believe it undermines the legitimacy of his victories. Take Ryan Garcia, for instance. Arguably Tank's biggest win to date. On paper, it's an impressive scalp, but there's a catch: the rehydration clause. Garcia had to agree to specific weight restrictions that likely left him less than his best. While Garcia didn't fully blame his loss on the clause, his admission that he felt weak in the ring fed into the notion that Tank's advantage was unfair. And then there's the infamous liver shot. It was even said Tank was already at an advantage with Garcia, having gotten his hands on leaked information before the fight that Garcia had a rib injury. This led some to speculate whether his knockout punch was calculated to exploit that weakness. While it's not against the rules, it added fuel to the fire for those who see Tank as someone who thrives on advantages rather than fair fights. This pattern has given critics plenty of ammunition. While Tank has fought names like Leo Santa Cruz and Jose Pedraza, many argue he hasn't truly tested himself against the elite.
Tank Davis has been avoiding, in my opinion, the big fights. Lomachenko, Pitbull Cruz, Shakar Stevenson, Devin Haney was there. Teofimo was there at one point. He finally fought Ryan, but Ryan, he was drained, and we saw how Ryan looked at 140.
His lightweight title came not through beating a reigning champion, but through an upgrade when Devin Haney vacated the belt. It's a distinction that doesn't sit well with fans, and this is where most fans think Keyshawn Davis might be another fair challenge. He's young, hungry, and not afraid to call it like he sees it. And when it comes to Tank, he's not impressed. I want to fight him, bro, because he's been tricking the boxing game for too long, Keyshawn said. He makes __ look good. He makes _ look better than what it is. What kind of resume?
Fight him.
He doesn't _ have a resume.
I want to fight him, bro, because he been tricking the boxing game for too long. Resume what? Kind of resume?
This isn't the first time Tank has faced these accusations. For years, Fans have wanted to see him in the ring with top-tier opponents like Vasyl Lomachenko, Devin Haney, or Teofimo Lopez. Those fights never materialized, and while boxing politics often play a role, Tank's critics argue that he hasn't pushed hard enough to make them happen. Instead, they point to a pattern of fighting aging veterans, smaller opponents, moving up in weight, or fighters who are hampered by contract stipulations. It's a strategy that has kept Tank undefeated, but has also left many questioning his willingness to truly test himself.
Him? Come on now,
Davis,
if I touch him, what's going to happen? Talk about that. Everybody want to talk about, oh, Keyshawn, what if he touch you? What if I touch him? Yeah, okay.
His demolition of Gustavo Lemos was a statement win, and while his resume is still thin, understandable given that he's only 12 fights into his pro career, he's already targeting the biggest names in the division. Khan's boldness is both his strength and his gamble. He's calling out Tank, not just as an opponent, but as someone he sees as a fraud. That kind of talk grabs attention, but it also raises the stakes. If Keyshawn gets his wish and fights Tank, he'll have to back up those words in the ring. The potential fight between Tank and Keyshawn is more than just a generational clash, it's a battle of philosophies. Tank represents the old-school model of career management, where fighters are carefully matched to maximize longevity and marketability. Khan, by contrast,
behind this
is the new
crowd,
breed, eager to take risks and make his mark as quickly as possible.
Seriously, man, all that weight on his back, bro, he put it down. He was even dealing with his brothers, man. His brothers, his sisters singing the national anthem.
Critics of Tank argue that his approach has left his legacy vulnerable to criticism. At 30, he's a two-weight world champion ranked no. 8 pound for pound by the ring. But those accolades mean little to fans who see a resume full of question marks. Keyshawn's career, though still in its early stages, is already being shaped by his willingness to take on tough opponents. His win over Lemos was a leap forward, proving that he's ready for the next level. Whether he's ready for Tank, though, is another question entirely. As of now, Tank is set to defend his WBC lightweight title against Lamont Roach in March next year, a fight that was again criticized and is even expected to sell less from the same accusations. But if he wins, a fight with Keyshawn in 2025 could be on the table. It would be a chance for Tank to silence his critics and prove that he's more than just a protected fighter. For Keyshawn, it would be an opportunity to take down one of the sport's biggest names and cement his place as a future star. But until that fight happens, the questions will remain: has Tank avoided the toughest challenges in his career? Or has he simply been the victim of boxing politics? Keyshawn Davis isn't waiting for answers. He's made it clear that he's coming for Tank, and whether he's right or wrong in his criticisms, one thing is certain: this is a fight that would settle the debate once and for all. But then again, before we see Keyshawn fight Tank, there is another fight that is hanging around the rematch with Ryan Garcia. However, this time with a condition that makes it fair. Ryan Garcia's unexpected win over Devin Haney flipped the script in boxing's junior welterweight division, but it also shifted the narrative on a potential rematch with Tank. After handing Haney his first loss in a closely contested bout, Garcia made it clear a second dance with Tank isn't on his radar. When asked about facing Tank again, his answer was firm: I can't do it. The reasoning was clear but loaded with implications. According to Garcia, his body can no longer handle the junior welterweight limit, let alone cutting back to the lightweight division where he faced Tank last year. I'm not doing 140 lbs. I'm doing 147 lbs, Garcia explained. I fought every time at 143. My body literally cannot go lower than 143. It's impossible. I tried every technique, but I can't do it. Garcia's issues with weight are nothing new even during his first fight with Tank.
Oh,
the
Ryan?
Contracted weight and the infamous 10 lb hydration clause were hot
He's
topics.
crazy. He's crazy. Talk about rematch. He said I was the best at 135 to 42. He said that. He said that. Say he won't fight me again. I'll kick his ass again.
The term, which restricted Garcia's ability to rehydrate fully after the weigh-in, left him feeling less than 100% going into the ring. He has since admitted to feeling weak during the fight but refused to use it as an excuse, maintaining that he agreed to the terms and had to live with the consequences. Now, Garcia has flipped the script with his win over Haney. He's arguably in a stronger negotiating position. His promoter, Oscar De La Hoya, wasted no time driving that point home. The only way he's going to fight Tank Davis is at a catchweight. Okay, at 145 lbs, just the way they did it to him, De La Hoya said. Now he's the man. Now he's the face of boxing. Whether or not Garcia is truly the face of boxing is up for debate, but his confidence is undeniable. I am the face of boxing confidently. I know I am, Garcia said, doubling down on his claim.
I was the nigga at the press conference. I asked her, I was like, yo, would you be interested in Tank again? And he was like, yo, Oscar was like, he got to come to 145 so we could do a part 2.
145.
Would you? Is that something you would do?
He's not even at 145.
Yeah, that's what he said. He said a catch weight. He said we have to do a catch weight at 145.
But why would it be 140? Why can't it be 140?
Yeah.
Why can't it be 140?
That's what he said. Would you be interested in that? Or
I'll fight him at 140.
The first matchup between Tank and Garcia was one of the biggest events in boxing in 2023, pulling in 1.2 million pay-per-view buys. It was billed as a clash of styles and personalities, with Garcia's speed and length facing off against Tank's power and patience. Ultimately, Tank delivered the goods, knocking Garcia out with a devastating liver shot in the 7th round. But the fight wasn't without its share of controversy. Beyond the rehydration clause, there was the revelation that Tank had insider knowledge about Garcia's physical condition going into the fight. Rumors swirled that Garcia was nursing a rib injury, and Tank exploited that weakness with surgical precision.
He talked about, and even in the All Access, hey, man, he hit me on my rib. Did you guys know going into that he had a rib injury?
I mean, you hear things, in mind games and everything. But again, we had a hand injury from the fight before. But again, you'll fight. You don't worry about that,
While perfectly legal, it left a bad taste in the mouths of some fans and added an asterisk to the victory for Garcia. The defeat was humbling, but not career-ending. He bounced back, regrouped, and now finds himself on a new path, one that doesn't include revisiting his lone professional loss. Garcia's decision to move up to welterweight isn't just about avenging the physical toll of their first fight. It's a strategic move to build a new chapter in his career, one where he can avoid the compromises that limited him at lightweight and junior welterweight. From Garcia's perspective, Tank isn't the only big name in boxing. There are plenty of intriguing matchups waiting at 147 LBS, including fights with stars like Terrence Crawford, Errol Spence Jr., or even a showdown with rising contenders in the division. These fights not only offer fresh challenges, but also allow Garcia to fully embrace his natural size and strength without the grueling weight cuts.
Tank Davis called you out over social media, mate. Your response to that?
One more time, please.
Tank Davis.
Tank Davis called
out Loma on social media.
Oh, he called Loma on social media? Well, that's easy to do, right?
But there's also an emotional element at play. Garcia referred to the idea of a Tank rematch as reliving a nightmare for all his bravado. There's an undercurrent of reluctance, a sense that stepping back into the ring with Tank might be more trouble than it's worth. On the other side of the equation, Tank Davis likely has his own thoughts about Garcia's reluctance. Tank is preparing for a showdown with Lamont Roach, and a win there could set the stage for more big fights in 2025. Still, Tank might view Garcia's comments as a sign of weakness, or even as an attempt to dodge a rematch that would settle the score once and for all. After all, Garcia has unfinished business at 140 LBS, where Tank still reigns as one of the most dangerous fighters in the sport.
I almost had his ass in the second, but I was too weak. I knew I was going to lose in the back room. I had no power. I had no mind. I was dehydrated. It was really bad. I should actually die cutting that weight. I should have. But God protected me because I was blistering out of my mouth. I had no spit. It was.
For boxing fans, the prospect of a Tank Garcia rematch is more interesting than a fight with someone like Keyshawn. Even if the circumstances have changed, the first fight was a blockbuster event, and a sequel would undoubtedly draw massive attention. But Garcia's decision to move up in weight complicates things. Catchweight fights are always tricky to negotiate, and Tank has historically operated on his own terms when it comes to contracts. Moreover, Garcia's rise in popularity after defeating Haney might create new opportunities that overshadow the need for a rematch with Tank. If Garcia can carve out a successful career at 147 LBS, he might never need to revisit the lightweight division or junior welterweight.
I've heard you say that you don't like to bring your family to fights that you feel like are going to be a war. Do you feel like this is a fight that you'll bring your family to?
Nah, I don't think so.
As of now, a Tank Garcia rematch feels like a distant possibility if it happens at all. Both fighters are on different trajectories, with Garcia moving up to welterweight and Tank continuing to dominate the lower weight classes. For Garcia, the focus is